Hi everybody, it's Carson with H2 Oasis Aquatics. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on how to test your water using the API Freshwater Master Test Kit, and also how to test your hardness levels with also the API thing. So before I get started into what you're going to need, just a little bit of announcements here. If you haven't joined my Discord and you would like to join my Discord, it's always a good resource to have if for some reason TikTok goes bye-bye. In the United States, it's a good resource to have because I'll be posting updates on where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be there, when I'm uploading things. It's also a good place to know when I'm going live on TikTok. I try to go live on TikTok once a day. It's there for questions, conversations, anything really. We kind of just talk about anything and everything. Sometimes we play Hangman with aquarium terms. But my Discord is always a good place to be because I'm trying to build it up to build resources for people who are new to the hobby. So if you're seeing this video and you've been in the hobby for a little bit and you would love to help other people with their fish or their aquariums or getting started in the hobby, I would love it if you join my Discord to help provide information, because currently it's just me in there with a lot of the knowledge, and I don't know everything. I do not claim to know everything. I'm just sharing what I do know to hopefully help other people who are just starting out in the hobby. But I will post my Discord link down in the description. I unfortunately only have like 3 moderators, and we have to go in and manually give everybody the roles, so please be patient with us. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the bots to work. So the first thing that you are going to need is you are going to need your API Freshwater Master Test Kit. And yes, this is a Virginia Institute of Marine Science sticker on here. I'm going into marine science. Why not? But it comes with this little booklet. It has instructions and it has a guide on the back for colors. You are also going to need, if you want to test your hardness, you're going to need the API hardness test. It comes with instructions on it as well. And I also recommend having like a pipette or like a syringe or something to pull water out of the tank, because none of us wants us to continuously just stick our hands in our tank. I don't think we all want to do that. I used to do that. It got annoying. So, yeah. I also have a towel here to wipe anything up and wipe the side of the tank. But also, Pete John, or Lipson Steve, that's been stuck in my head all week. Okay, so once you are ready to get started, we always start with our pH. So, it's going to be this one. You also have high range pH. I don't test my high range pH unless my pH tests weirdly high. I don't normally test my pH just because mine's generally in the same spot every time, but it's always a good idea to test it anyway. So what you're going to want to do, right, you grab your tube. I've had ones that come with plastic. I've had ones that come with glass tubes. Whatever one you use, they're all going to work the same. I have a mixture of both, but what you're going to do, right, I don't grab from the surface. I grab kind of in the tank a little bit, right? Grab up your water and just fill it up to the 5 milliliter line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's always good to do. Now, once you have the water in there, right, I like to wipe my tubes off, right? Grab your pH. If you look in your little booklet here, some of the tests have different instructions. pH-wise, what you want to do is, right, you're just going to add 3 drops and just invert it, right? So, right, just open your tube. Make sure it doesn't get on your skin. It's not going to feel very good. Completely upright. 1, 2, 3. Put that down. We'll plop the lid on there for just a second, right? Close it, invert. Now, this is not where my pH normally tests to, so sometimes I have to test again, okay? I'm going to test that one more time. And test that one more time, and we are going to, but if it tests to that again, I am going to be doing my high range. So sometimes you have to test things twice. It's just the way it goes. Especially if you haven't rinsed out your tubes completely very well, that can happen. But what you want to do generally is you want to just double check if it gets like that, because that's not normally where my pH is. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. 1, 2, 3. This is normally where my pH is. That was a false test. Sometimes you just got to test these things twice. Now, what I do to keep track of what I've already tested and what is what, right? I put my tube, my test solution in front of that. Now, this one I am going to go rinse out. This was a 7.6. That's not normally where my pH is. And this is about a 7 or a 6.8. This is normally where my pH is. Recently, I've been having to test my pH like more than once just to double check. That can happen, right? If you get something out of the ordinary, always test again, because it might not actually be that. It might just be whatever you had in the test tube before. If you didn't completely rinse it out very well, it can do that. Our next test is going to be our ammonia test. Now, our ammonia tests have 2 bottles. So bottle number 1 goes in first. This is the lighter yellow color. The second bottle goes in last. And for reference, right, you always want to make sure that you're testing it right. So what you want to do for the ammonia, you add the first one, then you add the second one right after. You shake it for 5 seconds, okay? Sometimes I have to read this. I don't know everything off the top of my head, but that's what you do, okay? So we're going to, one more time, take our water, fill up our tube, okay? All right, like I said, it does not have to be perfect, right? So we grab our first bottle number 1. Some of these need to be inverted, some of these need to be shaken, right? So we grab bottle 1, right? Completely upright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I used to be a lifeguard, so I've had a lot of experience with like the dropper tests. And also opening them with kind of one hand. Now, it's always best to open these with 2 hands. Don't squeeze your bottles everywhere, but 8. I've also gotten really good at counting drops. I used to be a lifeguard, so, right, ready? 3, 4, 5. And shaken, right? Stick that in front of that one. Now, it is water change day, so my levels might not be, this is what I normally do, my maintenance days, cool beans, right? So whatever testing happens today and whatever levels are going weird, they will be adjusted with my water change, but right now everything looks okay. Right, next test is going to be our nitrites. Where's my nitrite test? Nitrite test is this pink bottle, okay? I'm going to fill my tube up first. Sometimes there's still a little bit of water from the last rinse out, so you just want to shake it out. Alright, you fill it up. This gets really repetitive. Really, really repetitive. Okay, right? Now, you want to read your instructions for your nitrite test, right? The nitrite. 5, and it's going to shake. The nitrate test is the most, is the one that's going to be the most extensive, right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is our nitrite test. Now, our nitrate test, right? The bottles need, certain of the bottles need to be changed, shaken. Go mean words. Words are not collaborating with me today, but it's okay. So, what we're gonna do right now, this is a glass tube because I have a bunch of different tubes, right? Fill this one up with your water, and then I'll go over how you do the nitrate test. Now this one, there's a lot of shaking. In this one, nitrate test has 2 bottles. These are the 2 bottles you want. They're both purple. Now, the nitrate testing. I'm in France, apparently. This has the instructions in almost everything. So, right, fill it, 10 drops of nitrate test 1. So, the first one, you don't need to shake the bottle. You just shake the thing. Right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, what you're going to want to do, right, again, is you are going to cap the test tube and invert the tube several times to mix the solution. Now, you always want to cap this. Don't do a me. I just use my finger. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. I'm doing it, but don't do what I do. But you want to invert it, right? Just a couple times. Right? Now it's mixed. Don't do it with your finger. I'm telling you, you don't want to do that. But I want to the point where it's just faster for me to use my finger. Now, bottle 2, right? The second bottle. You want to shake the second bottle for 30 seconds, right? So we're gonna start shaking. Okay, now that it's been shaken for 30 seconds, we do the 10 drops, okay? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, this is the hardest part. Tap it, and you shake it for a full minute. Okay, so. Okay. Now that's been shaken for an entire minute. I did speed those up because I don't think anyone wants to sit there watching me shake a test tube for a whole minute. Okay, so next you want to let these develop for 5 minutes. Now in the 5 minutes that we're letting these develop, I'm going to show everybody how you do your hardness tests. Now these ones, right, you have to do these drop by drop. You have to invert it in between. You don't want to, you don't want to just keep dropping because you're waiting for it to change colors. It's like a titration, right? Does an extra drop completely change your titration? It's kind of that. So if you've ever done a titration in a biology class or a chemistry class, right? Same kind of process here. So the first one we're going to do is we are going to test our KH, which is this bottle, okay? Now, what you want to do is you're going to fill your bottle, your tube, if you will, right? And then you're going to go drop by drop, okay? Now, this one's going to be turning from blue to yellow, okay? So, drop, right? See, it's blue. 2. Still blue. You want to make sure that you're counting your drops, right? So we're at 2 drops right now. 3. Right? 4 drops. Okay. 5. Say that's 5 drops. Make note of your drops. That is Jesus. Okay. So we're still using 5 drops. We're still going to use the 5 drops. But I'm going to add 1 more drop in just to show you guys. Alright, 1 more. See, right? Same thing. Alright, but we're at 5 or 6 drops, okay? If that happens and it turns blue when you put the cap on, don't worry about it. That's what the titration is. But that's our KH. We had 5. Now, to know what your KH is, there's a table on the back. You want to keep this. You want to keep the entire sheet, right? So we have 5 or 6 drops, right? And you want to look at the degrees KH, right? So our degree KH is 5 or 6, and that's going to be 89.5 to 174 parts per million of KH, okay? KH is our carbonate hardness. Right, but it's between 5 and 6. So if it turns blue before, if it goes yellow and then turns blue again, it's most likely between the number. So, now, GH, right? Same process. It's going to be the same process as the KH, right? It's just going to turn from orange to green, right? So fill your tube. Just fill your tube up, right? And grab your GH test kit. This is general hardness. I have shrimp, so I always test my hardness levels. But same process, right? So we're going to go... Oh, shit. If that happens, start over. That happens, start over. Because you need to make sure that... I'm just going to rinse it out one more time. Okay. Usually I have a bucket or something for wastewater, so I don't have to just keep like going back and forth between the sink and dumping. So that's just a helpful tip for me. Just have a waste bucket, right? So 1. Right cap, invert. Don't use your finger. Okay, so that's an orange. 2. Right? Still orange. 3. Still orange. 4. Still orange. 5. It's green. So sometimes you do have to hold it up against something white, but this is green. It's 5, we're going to say. And going back to our table over here, we are at, again, 89.5. So that is how you do your tests with the hardness and everything. Now, how do you interpret the rest of your tests, right? Let me grab my booklet. It fell on the floor. Right? So, to know if your tests are good and your tank levels are okay, you want your nitrates to be between 5 and 20. your ammonia should be at 0. Sometimes it might creep up to 0.25. That's not a major issue. If you have C-Chem Prime, you could dose that. Your nitrites, you want to be at 0, right? So our pH really depends on your fish, right? So this is my pH color, right? Just stick it next to it. And it's really just up to perception. This looks like a 6.8 to a 7, right? It looks like a 6.8 to a 7. This is fine, right? Once you test it, dump it, and set it back in the thing to go rinse it. I always rinse things after. Our ammonia, right? Our ammonia is at a... Hold on. This light is terrible. Is at 0, okay? Our ammonia is 0. Some people would say it's at 2.5. This looks like a 0 to me, right? That looks like 0 to me. It's at 0, right? Dump it out, set it aside. Ammonia being at 0 is good. You want 0 ammonia. Nitrite. This is nitrite. It's at 0, which is where you want it to be. So you're good. Dump it. Right? I always recommend having a waste bucket. I have so many buckets. I could have a whole, I don't know. Now, our nitrates. Now, our nitrates are looking to be at a 5, which is the lower end, but it's good. It's good because I have a lot of plants and everything. But this is what you want your tank levels to be at, right? 0, 0, and as long as your nitrates are at 5 to 20, you're golden. 0 nitrates means somewhere along the line, your cycle might have crashed. If you have zeros in all of these, somewhere along the lines, your cycle may have crashed. If it's above 20, your tank is either first starting the cycle, or it's overloaded and it can't process through those things that fast, right? A lot of times when people are first cycling their tanks and they're doing the dosing and everything, their ammonia will be like somewhere in this range, their nitrites will be somewhere in this range, and their nitrates will be like somewhere up higher. Now that's what we call the rainbow. It's the cycling rainbow. It's okay. Once your ammonia drops to 0, your nitrate drops to 0, and your nitrates are between 5 and 20, your tank is cycled. Now my tank is cycled. It's just on the lower end of the nitrate spectrum, but that's okay, because that means I don't need to do a water change as much. I just need to, vacuum my sands, maybe. But that being said, right, all of my levels are where they should be. So if all of your levels are where they should be, I would just recommend especially if you have sand, you can poke holes in it, get like any of like the debris out of it and floating. Just go for those, and don't specifically go for doing a water change. But I could let this go another week. But I am going to fix the substrate. And like I said, hardness is just one of those things you need to know for your shrimp. Shrimp are like paper. They are very sensitive, unfortunately. But none of my shrimp are dying. They all just decided to molt at one time. Sometimes your shrimp will decide that they want to molt all at the same time, and it can freak people out. They're not dying. I promise you. I promise you they're not dying. They are just very weird sometimes, and all of mine have decided at once that they were all going to molt, and it freaked me out. I thought they were all dying, but no. Not the case. That being said, right, just make sure you have a schedule. It's always easy to have a schedule, because then you know, like, oh, I'm doing it this day. Right, my maintenance days are usually Tuesdays. They're usually Tuesdays. I just didn't do it yesterday, so I had to do it today. My maintenance days are usually Tuesdays, but it's Wednesday. But that is how you test your water. Now the really important thing to note is that if you do decide to let it wait, right, just make sure that you're checking for any weird signs, right? If something happens in your tank, like if a fish dies, always test your water. If for whatever reason your fish are acting weird, test your water, right? Like anything that is happening that's out of the normal in your tank means that you should probably test your water. Now, there are some fish that are more susceptible to issues when levels are raised, right? Coolie loaches, they're scaleless fish. If your ammonia levels are too high, they will be the first to go. But also, blue rams, they can be more sensitive. So I'm venturing off into the kind of more advanced fish. Other than bays, I just want to expand my experience a little bit. So we decided we were going to try some rams. Now, the thing that you need to know is that just because your levels test fine one day doesn't mean that the next day something might not happen, right? But another thing is, you do not want to use your tank as a shelf. Your tank is not a shelf. Do not put your stuff on top of it. Even though I do it, you don't want to do it. Don't do it. And just because I don't put the caps on when I'm inverting things in between tests, always put the cap on. Don't chemically burn yourself. Don't do a me, okay? I used to be a lifeguard. I'm used to the test drops and stuff. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it can be daunting at first. Liquid tests can be daunting at first. I was a little bit stressed out about it first, but, you know, I was like, well, I use these tests for lifeguarding anyway. Easy enough, right? It's actually really easy. They give you the instructions. It's really straightforward. But I've had some people be like, well, that's so daunting. I don't know. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And a lot of the time, it is. But, yeah, like, my tank is cycled as it should be. If your levels are the same as mine, your tank is fine, right? Your tank is good. I do need to increase my heater just a little bit for the Rams, but because my water right now is at 79, it needs to be 80. But just get yourself on a schedule. You know, Tuesdays are the day for me because I only have one class and nothing else on Tuesdays. But I don't recommend, like, having, like, a little, like, microfiber towel, like, just in case for anything. I got this for, like, $3 at Petco. It's got a little fish on it. But it's always good to have a little towel just in case you need it. So, like, if you do a water change and you got water everywhere, just, you know, swipe, right? But also, like, it's good to have a little sponge on a stick thing. This is just a top fin thing because I actually have a lot of gunk on, like, the front of my thing. So, you know, just take it. This is not related to testing your water, but, you know, just wiping whatever you can off the glass. And if you have plants, just be careful with the plants. Don't knock your plants off anything. If you have a bunch of gunk, I always do this rather than, you know, getting my hands in there. You can use a paper towel. I don't like using paper towels. I don't want to stick my entire arm in here. I can barely reach the bottom of the tank anyway, so I do take some fish photography, so it's just easier for me to just squeeze as much water out of this as you can, right? So it's not drippy all over wherever you put it, right? And just put it back where you had it, and you're good. Testing your water is relatively straightforward, and, right, got some water here, so we just swipe that, and then you go clear glass again, right? Like, it's just one of those things. But yeah, testing your water is relatively easy. I'm going on a giant, massive rant. Now, I got cut off, but it's just a good way to keep your tank clear and stuff. But yeah, just, you know, stay on top of a schedule. I usually have a Excel spreadsheet that I track everything on, so, like, if something spikes, and I can track all, like, the weird shit that happens, so I can be like, oh, okay, well, this happened this week, right? This is what I tested to this week, tested to it next week, and whatever it was fixed itself, right? I always keep track. I mean, today was just to show you guys. I mean, my tank is cycled, we're good. My levels are good, right? But the higher range pH, same process as normal pH, just, you know, just make sure you stay on top of your stuff, because high levels of certain things can be an issue. Like, really high levels of nitrites, like elevated levels of nitrites, no matter what it is, can be harmful for your fish. It's one of those things that they can't really tolerate as well. If your ammonia jumps to a 0.25, it's not a huge issue. Keep an eye on it, but generally your tank should be okay. But yeah, just stay on top of it, because high levels can result in some weird behaviors. So just keep an eye on your tank. I always check my tank. I'm like in front of my tank, like, a lot of time out of my day, so it's just one of those things you keep an eye on. You're good. My next video, I'm probably going to be talking about how to transport your tank, because that's what I'm going to be doing, is transporting this thing. Now, that can cause a cycle crash, so just let that be known. But you can close this lid now. But don't use your tank as a shelf. Do not ever use your tank as a shelf.